Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? Before we get to the NFL discussion, I had shared this this picture. It was a nine image graph yesterday, and it got a lot of responses. So it was number 1 was popcorn, 2 was beer, 3 was pizza, 4 was hot dog, 5 was peanuts, 6 nachos, 7 soda, 8 soft pretzel, 9 French fries. And so you had to pick 3 for stadium snack. Which ones did you go with?
Well, because there wasn't a need to hit 2-3 times and take the beer all 3. If you're going to give me some snacks to go with that beer, I'm definitely a nachos guy, especially if you got that fake jalapeno infused nacho cheese. First of all, don't try to give me the plain cheddar with the nachos on the side. I'll still eat it, but I'd like the cheese to have that nacho spice in there. And I'm a big soft pretzel guy. Yeah, I want something to just hit you right in the back of the throat a little bit. But I'm also a big soft pretzel guy. You know, part of it's like kind of the Philly thing, I guess. But even just before I was even real big into Philly and I was a kid, just something about tearing apart that soft pretzel.
Sometimes at Kmart and they'd have that little snack shack in the front there.
Whatever it is, man. It just sometimes I want to eat the hard parts of the soft pretzel first. Other times I want to peel off the outer layer, eat the soft part first. Doesn't matter what order I eat it in. Sometimes with mustard, sometimes without. Either way, it's just a go-to snack for me.
I might have to go to Philly Pretzel Factory tomorrow.
Yeah, now I kind of want soft pretzel. Now I really set myself up for failure. I was just at the store. I could have bought some soft pretzels. I've really let myself down. Maybe hit a Wawa tomorrow or something.
There you go.
I'm gonna eat, goddammit.
For me, I think I went with a beer, obviously. You're gonna go with a beer at a ball game. You know, and I'm trying to look at this from like a full scope and not just one sport. So if I'm at a baseball game or a football game on outside, I love a hot dog, whether it's a dollar dog, I always love a good hot, especially because
hot dog was on the outside looking in. Because I definitely thought about that at a baseball game. I don't think I eat hot dogs at other sports. I was trying to think about like, have I had a hot dog at an Eagles game or something? I mean, maybe. I've been pretty in the bags for most of them, so I don't know 100%.
I don't go to a lot of football games. Like I don't go to a lot of live football. So like my primary games that I go to are baseball and hockey. So like, and I've gotten to hot dogs at hockey games, but I usually eat dinner before I go to a hockey game. And that'll play into my number 3 choice. So if I'm at a baseball game, I always get a hot dog, regardless of anything else that I might eat that night. I always get a hot dog when I go to a baseball game because
I'm more likely to get that hot dog if it's a day baseball game. If it's like a 1 o'clock weekend game, I'm probably eating 2-3 hot dogs.
I don't know the last time I was at a baseball game and I didn't have a hot dog. It just feels right at a baseball game. But then go to the hockey game usually because. Like at Hershey, especially like the cost of the food has gotten just ridiculous over the last couple of years. So a lot of times we will eat somewhere in Hershey before we go to the game.
Sure.
And that's where I go to the most.
All you need at the game is like a snack.
Yeah. So then I go with number 1, the popcorn. I love that box of popcorn that was probably popped 2 or 3 days ago. So
you bite down, it sticks to your upper molars.
Yeah, it's a little sticky, it's a little stale, but it's buttery, it's salty, it's delicious. That box of popcorn is just one of the best things in the entire world for me.
Popcorn's an alright snack. I'm definitely not in agreement with your with your 2 picks there, but I can see why you like the like the light snack there. I tried to, and I think I was thinking of it later. I was like
the same way, like it's
I was looking at it later, and I'm like, like what made it kind of hard for me is the fact that stadiums now, like there's so many stadiums trying to sell the fact that we have the best food. We have this, and so there's all these vendors of like local favorites. Like you go to a Philly game, I go to a Phillies game. I don't even know that I eat a hot dog that much anymore because there's a Gino's Steaks in the outfield. And
Dickies and Pete's fries.
Chickies and Pete's crab fries. Like if I'm going to a game in Philadelphia, I'm probably eating a cheesesteak and Chickies and Pete's crab fries. And if I can't get both, or I don't have time, or I'm not hungry enough, just the crab fries.
We went to the Flyers,
and yet somehow I didn't pick fries.
We went to the Flyers home opener last year, and I think I had gotten a Molson. I'd gotten a Molson Canadian because if I'm at a hockey game, I'm going to get a Canadian beer. But we had Chickies and Pete's crab fries. I had PJ Wellington boneless wings with their Wellahans. With whatever their they have like a special. It's like their signature sauce, whatever that is. I got that, and then I had cheesesteak like egg rolls on the way out, like as we were leaving. It was delicious, but I didn't have like any tradition like normal stadium foods because I wasn't even thinking the crab fries when I dismissed number 9. But the
nice thing is at the Philly airport they got usually if I'm flying back to Florida, there's 2 terminals where Frontier, which we usually fly, comes out of. One of them has a Jim's Steaks, the other has a Chickies and Pete's. So it works out that usually I can get one of them as long as we can get into the terminal fast enough. Now, at this point, any future flights will have at least a toddler, if not a toddler and an infant, in tote. So the odds of me getting through anything with enough time to have a full meal of Chickies and Pete's are much slimmer, but we'll try to set that up successfully.
We'll just grab one and can you throw it in? Can you throw a cheesesteak in the carry-on?
I'm pretty sure that some of the Philly steak places will legitimately put it on ice and mail it to you. I'm pretty sure that's a thing.
Yeah, what's that service now that it's like Golden Box or something like that where it's
something from anywhere sent to you?
Yeah, because friends of ours got Chicago deep dish shipped in from Chicago. You can get the Italian beef shipped in from Chicago. You can get lobster roll kits from Maine. You can get there's that place out in California. It's like Philippe's. It's the place that originated the French dip with the hot mustard. You can get that stuff. I mean, it's not cheap. I mean, I think for 2 deep dish pizzas, I think it comes out to $110. But that's also the cost of the dry ice to make sure and the overnight shipping.
Hell of a lot cheaper than driving out there.
Right, driving or flying, and right now you can't do either. So I definitely those are services I'm going to look into because it's I don't need to go to diners and drive-ins and dives. I can just fly that shit into my house.
Yeah. The point being, a lot of these strange foods, like the fancier foods, the more regional foods, are showing up in stadiums. So for me to pick a traditional eat, I had to assume that I was doing that in lieu of the fancy steak. I had to assume that I was going there. This is what I was eating. It was only these things.
Well, and for me, I
needed right in the middle of substance and snack. So I needed a very filling pretzel and some yummy cheese. That's where I was at. But but I'm about to gnaw my hand off. So this has to be the last point of this.
And I also go to I go to more minor league sports. So you don't have a lot of those signature dishes.
True.
At your AA baseball games and AHL hockey games. So it does kind of work out in my favor that I can get some.
Right, and down here, I'm not getting typically a Geno steak at a ball game. I have to settle for whatever's around. And if you're not in the mood for a fish taco or something else super,
that's not stadium food.
Something like that.
That's Cabana Bar on a Saturday afternoon food. That's not stadium
nice thing about Florida is it's a drinking state. So you can be sure that every single vendor and every little side stand,
sure,
some kind of craft beer, cocktails, something. It's usually a drink special depending on what time of the day your game is. So plenty to drink and still a lot of good food down here. It's just sure. You're looking at more the Latino, maybe a Cuban variety. I'd imagine in Miami a lot of Cuban food. Over here, just a plethora of just ethnic foods in the area. So I haven't been to the Rays Stadium. I haven't been to a Bucks game, and I missed my Tampa Bay Lightning game by that much.
Oh yeah, you were going to go to a Flyers Lightning game, right? Right.
They called the season. Yeah.
Oh,
I was supposed to go to a 7:00 game Flyers were in town. It was going to be my first Flyers game outside of Philadelphia, and I was super jacked. I had met a nice guy. We shared a barber, had tickets. He wasn't even charging me for the tickets, and it was just because his dad goes out of town for half the year, and this was during that half. And so I had these seats. I was going to go, and 1 p.m. that day, they were like, no more hockey. And there's a virus.
We had Hershey Bears tickets for the 13th, and that was the day that the AHL shut down. So
yeah, it's a rough scenario, but hopefully I get back.
We'll get back there. I know. Like the Capitals, they're we've seen it in stadiums and stuff. They do the cardboard cutout things. The Capitals sent out a thing you can get a cardboard cutout, and they guarantee it'll be in for the first half of the season. But they're somewhat optimistic that fans may be getting back in the building for the second part of the season. So,
here's hope.
And I mean, let's be honest, you're in a state that will probably be among the first that has, large crowds.
If you have the vaccine, they're not even going to check temperatures. They're just like, come on.
No, absolutely not. They're like, oh, you can walk. Cool. You're in. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? All right, Sean, before we get to the NFL pick'ems, I was having a debate, and it was a new follower of the show. Let me find their name here. One and Done Radio. We were having this discussion today because I saw a post from them, and he was complaining that and he's not even a Bucs fan, but he's complaining that the Buccaneers are going to have to travel to the winner of the NFC East. So we've seen this argument pop up before when the Panthers were 7-8-1, when the Saints were 7-9, and obviously whoever wins the NFC East will be sub 500. A Buccaneers team most likely will be traveling to that team, and the argument was that a sub 500 team, or really he went as far as saying that like the only guarantee you should get with winning a division is a playoff spot, but the seeding in the playoffs should be done based on records. So in this case, obviously, whoever wins the NFC East would be the lowest seed in the NFC playoffs. But my argument back at him was, if you're going to change the format, because that's what you're saying, you want the format changed. You don't like the fact that a sub 500 team can host a playoff game. If you're going to change the format, why don't you go full stop?
Just eliminate the under 500 teams.
What I said is just eliminate divisions and division champions. Just there's an NFC and an AFC, or if you want to be really radical, eliminate the conferences and just have the schedule as the schedule, and then the top 16 teams or 18
whoever
teams,
they are,
whoever it is, the team with the 16 best records, those are the teams that make the playoffs. But let's keep it within the conference. I said because what's going to happen is if they would make the change to what they were suggesting, and a 7-9 or 6-10 or whatever it is, NFC East winner is going to get in. There's going to be teams that are 11-5, 10-6 that are still going to be sitting outside and go, well, you changed the format. It's still not fair to me that I didn't get in. Like, am I happy that an NFC East team and obviously at this point the Cowboys have fucked over their draft position, so at this point win the whole goddamn thing. But like, am I happy? That if I'm a Bucs fan, am I happy that I have to travel to Dallas? No. But guess what? If you're a better team, the more chances than not you're gonna have to win on the road anyway. Because
especially this year, there's not gonna be any fans there.
There's one team that gets home field. That's guaranteed home field. And if you're not that team, at some point you're going to have to win on the road. If you're not good enough to win on the road, you probably don't deserve.
If you can't beat a 5-11 team on the road, how are you going to beat the Packers in Lambeau in January?
Right. Exactly.
Like
I get it. Does it look crappy that an 11-5 team has to travel to a 7-9
I got news for you.
team?
A lot of other teams have won in Philadelphia this year.
Right.
A lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of teams have won in Dallas this year.
And they're beautiful facilities. It's not like you're going to the old Veterans Stadium where like stuff's falling apart and there's rats in the ceiling and all this. Like you're going to these beautiful facilities. Everyone in the NFC East, minus maybe Washington's, is new within the last. I think theirs is new within the last 10 years. I don't think there's anybody in the. I'd guess the Giants have the oldest. I don't know. MetLife's pretty new. But they're all nice stadiums. It's not like you're going to like some crummy place. I don't know. It's like I said, I mean, and I'm assuming it's a Tampa Bay based podcast. And
the guy's the Colts fan.
Well, then what's the big? First of all, if anybody in Tampa Bay or anybody on the Buccaneers is angry that they're going to have to travel somewhere else, you wouldn't have to if you knew how to beat the Saints. You're one game behind them. You're probably going to win your next one. You're going to finish either tied with them and losing a tiebreaker or one game behind them. That would have been all solved winning one of two games. And you couldn't win one of those two. And one of those wasn't even, were they both Drew Brees? Hang on a second.
No, I think one of them was Taysom Hill. But here's the thing. For me, there should be more of just an incentive of making the playoffs to winning a division. And if you're not good enough to win your division, you shouldn't get to host the first playoff game that you play. There should be some penalty for the fact that you couldn't win your division. Because yes, there is going to be some years where there's a sub 500 team, but there's going to be years where a team gets in at 10-6.
They lose to Drew Brees twice.
Okay, they lost to twice. But that's right. I think he came back. They lost
the first game of the year. Tom threw a couple picks in a game that they were playing well. And then in the second game at home, they were like, all right, well, Tom will get to play him at home this time. They lost 38-3, never even got on the board. So, sorry, you got to go somewhere.
It's like, and for me, and it was more that my biggest issue with the suggestion that he had made was that it was kind of a middle of the road change because you were still allowing that sub 500 team into the playoff, but they weren't going to get the benefit because they won their division, whether it's a crappy division or not. They won the division. There will be years that a 10-6 division winner will host an 11-5 wild card team, but nobody looks at the fact that 10-6 division might have 2 or 3 10-6 teams. Yeah, that it's a hard fought division. It's not always the case that it's.
There's been times where the NFC East had some the opposite problem where the NFC East was very good, and your division winner it was maybe 9-7, 9-7, 8-8.
Yeah,
and it's nobody, like you said, nobody. But if that 9-7 loses one more game and they're all 8-8, all of a sudden it's this. Well, they don't deserve, And sometimes when you're in a competitive division, which there's fewer and farther between of those,
especially this year.
Yeah, and it's not the case for the NFC East this year, but the NFC South for a while was an example of one where teams that play each other start. You start exchanging losses, and each team has 6. You go 3-3 in those. There's 3 of your losses, and depending where you finished the year before, if you were a playoff team the year before, you might draw the number 1 seed of 2 other conferences, and depending how the NFL schedules you, maybe you play the AFC West, which has a lot of great offensive teams. Maybe you draw the NFC South, which the NFC East did this year. So you kind of get this weird chance of maybe you draw some really tough games. And if you're having a rough year, you still got to win the games that matter. You got 6 games against your division. And like you said, if you eliminate division play altogether, then you don't have to lock up those 6 games anymore. Right. You just get to play, you play half the teams in the league and everybody just kind of shuffle. Everybody plays half. And you got to hope that you get a half, but even then, there's going to be harder schedules and whatever.
Sure. And my whole thing too is the NFL has so many convoluted and confusing rules as it is when it comes to stuff on the field.
Right.
What's the catch? What isn't the catch? When can you advance a fumble? What is a football move? What is this?
Answer is false.
You see referees pulling out index cards to determine a first down. And commentators get just as baffled when it comes to trying to explain the rules. I mean, growing up, Pat Summerall and John Madden, they knew the rules. They didn't need to bring in a Mike Pereira or, Gene Steratore or whoever it was to explain to me what's happening. They didn't have to do it because the rule, it was easier. The game was easier to understand. And the last thing you want to do is make it harder to understand who is hosting a playoff game and why, who's in a playoff game and why. Why isn't this, they won the division. Why aren't they? To me, it just muddies the water more. So if you're going to change the here's the thing, I don't think the format should be changed. I'll say that. However, if you are going to do it, you can't make it more convoluted than it is, which it's not right now. It's division winners and the two other best teams. So why would you make it harder to explain? Because that's the thing. You have to make it so it can be explained to somebody who's not a football fan. To me, that trying to explain why a team who won their division is playing at a team who didn't is more confusing. So if you're going to change it, make it the top 8 teams or 7 teams or whatever it's going to be in the conference end of the day. Just you get rid of the divisions. You can still kind of base your schedule off of them year to year, but otherwise, don't make it confusing because the NFL already is confusing enough.
And it doesn't happen often enough that it needs to be.
No, this is the third time it's happened in modern history.
Right. I'm showing in NFL history, even if you're talking all the time, 4 sub 500 teams have made the playoffs with a losing record. I guess that means this would be the 5th because it hasn't, unless they're counting this. But yeah, it's just, in fact, twice in one season in 1982, the Browns and Lions both made it at 4-5 in a 9-game regular season. So they were 1 game under. And then in the modern era, like you said, 2 more. So 2-2, 2 in the old 9-game schedule, and then 2 since they expanded to almost twice as many games. And as far as I know, only once did that result in a win, which was that Seattle Marshawn Lynch run against the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, because the Panthers lost in their opening game, and chances are whoever wins the NFC East probably going to lose
that first game.
Probably going to lose. I have a hard time, even if my Cowboys get in.
The only benefit of winning that division this year is 1 extra game of not even really revenue. You just get your TV share money.
Yeah, because I have a hard time believing that if say the Cowboys get in, and we'll talk about those games here in a second. I have a hard time believing the Dallas Cowboys are going to beat Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just don't see it happening.
I don't see a lot of scenarios where that happens.
No. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?